Hello, everyone. This is Danish Khan from the Economic Times Telecom. And today we have Mr. Madhav Sheth, Realme India CEO. And we are going to discuss the device landscape and the 5G ecosystem and the way forward, especially after the auctions have concluded. So welcome to the show, Madhav.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Danish.
Right. So Madhav, let me start by asking what is going to be Realme's strategy now, especially after auctions have completed and telecom operators are now planning to roll out 5G services very soon. It's a matter of weeks now. So what is your strategy? How are you prepared to bring your offerings to the market?
I think apart from the strategy, there's a bigger vision that basically how can we bring the 5G devices in the hands of the people? Because I believe the 5G hardware ecosystem is going to be extremely important to make sure that the 5G adaptation is smooth and the transition from the 4G to 5G is much faster. So probably I think the Realme has done a great job with doing that because we were the first one to launch a 5G phone in India. Back in 2020, 19, and 2020 is thinking in basically in one aspect that we want to make sure that we are future ready, the consumers are future ready. Probably we knew that basically the replacement cycles are more than 24 months or 36 months. So probably we wanted to make sure that the next replacements for any of the users has to be moving towards 5G if it's above $150 price segment. And that's the reason we wanted to bring more and more affordable 5G. And I'm happy today that we have more than 5 million active users using 5G Realme devices in India. And probably we have our more than 50% of our portfolio, which will be moving to 5G from the next year.
Sure, sure. And Realme also has slightly affordable devices in the 5G market. Do you think that prices can further come down so that there is mass adoption of 5G services?
It's all about economies of scale. To be honest, yes. We never anticipated to bring 5G also at 150, $175 price point in India, which is around 10,000 to 12,000 rupees. I think with our 9i 5G launch, with an affordabilities and everything coming into place, we are able to bring a phone which is around below 15,000 rupees, and we are trying to bring more affordable phones in the near future. So to answer your question, yes, that's the vision. We want to bring more affordable 5G devices because we completely believe one thing that if the development has to happen, the digital revolution has to happen, it will happen in rural moving towards urbanization. So adoption of 5G in the rural would be extremely important, and bringing 5G affordable devices would be extremely crucial for India to make sure that 5G is successful, and the user case would be much more accepted and the growth would be much more faster than anticipations.
Sure, sure. Now with the 5G auctions and with 5G services, do you think that there will be a growth in the market instead of because there were speculation or there were signs that demand is tapering down. But do you think with 5G coming in, services getting rolled out, there will be a revival in demand for smartphones?
I think all thanks to you guys and the brands, all of us put together, we have educated consumers enough that 5G is not just about the services, but apart from the services, also about the hardware, which is much better than the 4G services. It may be a touch, it may be latency, it may be a CPU, it may be a GPU. I think it's extremely crucial, and a lot of people know about it that the 5G processors would be much better in terms of performance than the 4G processor. This is predecessors. So probably a lot of people have moved on to 5G, and that was one of the biggest reasons the 5G has come into place. Definitely, to answer your question, the adaptation of the 5G now post the 5G services launching, there will be a huge spike coming into this adaptation of 5G devices, and probably I believe, as per the data which I've heard, there would be around 500 or 400 to 500 million users by the end of 2027 in 5G. So I believe there's a huge opportunity for brands all put together on 5G in India.
Right, right. So in India, we might see two different kind of 5G networks. One is on non-standalone architecture and the other one is on standalone architecture. So while the telco Airtel has confirmed that NSA is going to be the main architecture for them, Jio might come up with the SA architecture. Do you think the Realme devices are ready? The consumers that own Realme phones will be able to use 5G from both the telecom operators? The architecture
Yes.
will be supported?
Probably not only that, but we have more than that bands already been installed. So while the auctions were happening, we have seen all the bands which were auctioned in India, and I'm happy to say that today all our Realme devices will be supporting all the NSS, all the bands in India which have been launched and which have been allocated to the operators. Happy to tell you that, and basically our OTAs will start releasing soon to the users to make sure that their 5G phones are ready for use for the consumers at the same point of time.
In the past, smartphone companies have worked with telecom operators for even for 5G for testing. You collaborated with all the telecom operators. Is there something more that you could do with the telecom operators, maybe to target certain customer set, like bringing some bundled offerings, like device bundled with service, or maybe uh, other kind of service, other kind of offerings wherein telcos is kind of subsidizing the cost, because right now we don't see price coming down to rupees 10,000 in coming 1 or 2 months. So do you think that you could work even you could go deeper with telecom operator in terms of your tie-ups?
To answer your question, yes. But I would like to answer it in a different perspective, which we all need to understand. In India is the one of the only economies, or one of the few economies in the world, where we can see 2G, 4G, and 5G parallelly running together. We still have 100 million of devices sold every year for 2G as well, which are the feature phones. Now, this is the bigger market. So, what we are also trying to do is that basically, how can this feature phone consumer also move to the smartphone, entry level smartphones? So, there's one initiative what we have already done with Airtel is already we have tied up with Airtel for one of our devices where we are trying to bundle our devices and trying to sell to the consumers so they can start moving their 2G devices to at least to 4G. And I think we will have a similar thought process. And we are also working with different set of operators to further explore how can we also work towards on the 5G at the same point of
So that means that there will be avenues where there will be deeper tie-ups to do like
time. Definitely, yes.
the demand. Yeah, right. Sure. So as you also mentioned that for the feature phone to smartphone migration, you have one tie-up. How bullish is Realme on the growth prospects or opportunity on the migration front, like feature phone to smartphones? Now, obviously, 2G will remain one of the major technologies, but people are looking at migrating to smartphones. Is Realme targeting that segment, like bringing affordable devices, maybe directly in the open market along with the telco tie-up?
As I said, along with the telcos, our reach is much more higher. What we are trying to do is because the telcos have to make sure that basically the internal rural areas are also having that sort of a connectivity to bring the smartphone users like 4G and 5G devices, being using, or they will be able to use that services in that particular town. So rural migration, which is extremely important and the crucial for the development of India, will also depend on the quality of the services and the infrastructure of the 4G and 5G laid out in the rural areas. I think that would be one of the factors, but I think India has already been moving towards 4G handsets and smartphone devices because of the biggest millennial population in the world. The migration, I strongly believe that basically after 5G rolling in, it will be much more faster than what we have seen in the 4G. And the best part about 5G, which I believe is when 4G was launched, I still remember there were no 4G handsets available in the market. I think I am proudly saying today in India, there are more than millions of users already using 5G devices. So the operators will have the scope of having the economies of scale and bringing more affordable 5G services to the consumers.
Sure, sure. Realme also has its own IoT business, like fast growing IoT business, connected devices the company is rolling out in the market. With 5G, will you change your strategy, bring in more 5G enabled IoT devices? Do you think that 5G can give a push to your IoT business, because there are plethora of devices that you're launching, from consumer durables to connected ecosystem to home automation to wearables, and there will be more segments, categories. Do you think that 5G could give a much needed push to your IoT business?
Not only to me, but the entire economy. I believe the app market, the developer market, the AIoT hardware market, the entire industry, the sensors, everything. I believe the entire industry will get a great push after the 5G services are rolled out. Probably, I believe that basically handsets being the hub of the industry, because handsets will remain the hub, being the controller of all these devices. It may be a smart home, smart automation, smart car, or whatever you've been talking about. So, smartphone will remain as a hub. Hence, I believe the hub is extremely important, which will also be used as a router in the near future. because if there's a 5G services into it. So probably I believe the hub will become the smartphones for controlling all the 5G enabled devices around you. And then the first five ecosystem which Realme believes which will be much more smarter is like tablets, laptops, TVs, and audios and wearables. So I think these are the five touch points where every Indians or every urban Indians are connected and every rural Indians are now connecting to it, all these five smart devices. I believe over a period of time when the 5G services are rolled out, I believe entire ecosystem whatever we see conventional near us will move to smart.
Sure, sure. Do you think Realme could explore foraying into the market of FWA devices, routers, commercial or home routers? Do you see that? Because with telcos will have a plan with millimeter wave spectrum, they might roll out FWA service. So while they will want partnerships, but do you think that in open market Realme could launch? Because there are some other brands which have those products globally. Do you think that Realme could also look at bringing those devices
Uh,
to the market?
to answer your question, as of now, we have no plans. But probably, I believe, because 5G services having in the mobile phones, people are using mobile phones as a router in a lot of places. Because I have seen my own team members using public Wi-Fi, where they believe that basically public Wi-Fi won't be a safer one and options. Using your own mobile phone after with the 5G services, using it as a hotspot or as a Wi-Fi would be much more convenient and much more giving you peace of use. So I probably believe that basically we are just focusing on our devices right now. That we have the section what you spoke about, we have not haven't explored up till now. But yes, there's nothing wrong in thinking about it in the future.
Sure, sure, sure. Is there a pressure due to the dollar fluctuation and the rising component pricing on Realme smartphone business in India? Are you able to ensure margins in India in a profitable manner, or is it tougher by each passing day?
It is tougher. So, regardless of the fact, if I say the picture is greener, it is not because of the dollar fluctuation, the component pricing rising. The industry has been impacted. Not only Realme, but the entire industry has been impacted. The dollar fluctuations of around 7 to 8% in the business where we mainly brands like Realme are into it, where we are more consumer focused brands, where we want to make sure that the pricing are the right pricing and the consumer gets the best value for money products. Price to spec comparison ratios are one of the best ones. So that's where we are one who've been hit the most. At the same point of time, we want to make sure that we sustain as our relationship with the consumers is for the next 24 to 36 months because we have to ensure our sustainability in terms of updating of the softwares, updating the security patches to the consumers for the next 24 to 36 months. And hence, we have to ensure that basically we are not losing on that particular front. So, probably, yes. Uh, to answer your question, we are facing difficulties, but we are ensuring that we float and we move towards the brighter future over a period of time.
Sure, sure. And when it comes to components and chipsets, is there still shortage, or that period is over and there is a sufficient availability of chipsets, semiconductors, and various components?
There are two ways to look at it because right now the demand has suddenly taken a V-shaped turn, not even a U-shaped turn, but a V-shaped turn. The reason is because all our lives are back to normal. The dependency on the digital devices have been lesser now, and the physical connects have been more. The schools have started opening up, the offices have started opening up. The number of dependency on the digital devices have reduced in every home. Where it used to be 4 or 5 at every home, now it is reduced back to one. The reason is because the physical world has started opening up. It may be schools or offices or colleges or workplaces. So I think that has taken a turn in a way to anticipate that particular thing. There's a demand has fallen down. So I would probably say that basically there's no shortfall in terms of chipsets, but because it's also a gap of demand and supplies as well.
Okay, sure. What are your plans for the rest of the year? We have like festive season coming up, then we will have one more quarter. What sort of preparations are you doing? What sort of growth you expect in terms of devices, and which are the categories where you see that the growth will be much steeper for Realme?
I think that basically there will be a bullwhip effect on the factors which I just spoke about on basically on the terms of the demand, and I'm anticipating that basically the demand will remain sluggish or a little bit over sluggish from what the current situation is during Diwali. So probably I believe this bullwhip effect would end by December or January, Probably we'll all be back to normal. So I believe we are still bullish because we are launching four new devices. The recently one which we launched was 99 5G, a phone below 15,000, a 5G phone. We are bringing few entry level phones also for a smartphone, for a entry level smartphones. We are bringing mid ranger phones and we are bringing high end phones. So our premium series is also being launched in the next few days. So I probably we have a good lineup before Diwali for the consumers not to select the N minus one product. N minus one is the older generation product. People, I would prefer that in Diwali, rather than buying a heavy discounted product, they would prefer to buy something which is new with a new designs and a new technology. And that's what Realme wants to do during this Diwali.
Sure, sure. And how is your premium strategy panning out? You launch several devices. Are you seeing good uptake of those devices? Because all other brands are also focusing on premium, and there are some established players as well. So, have you did you find a spot for yourself in the premium segment? And do you
To
think?
be to answer your question, I would say yes. But if I find a significant place in that spot, is not yet. We still have to do it. We still have a long way to go because it's not just a one generation or two generation of products will make us reach and be sustained over there. But probably it will take us about 3 or 4 generations before we practically start feeling and consumers start feeling that we are much more sustainable brand even in the premium price segment. So a lot of disruptions, innovations, and differentiations have been brought in that particular price segment with the GT series. It may be a touch, or it may be a screen, or it may be processing capabilities, or maybe the design. But we are focusing on all these aspects, making sure that how can we differentiate as well as innovate in this price segment. So I think you will see before Diwali we'll be launching a new GT series as well with a lot of differentiations.
Right, right. How do you read competition in the smartphone market in India and globally? Do you, because there was a player which entered into the market. Do you feel that there is space for new entrant into the market, be it India or globally?
Definitely yes. There's a space for it. The reason because I believe there are only about 5 or 6 brands globally who are having around more than 80% market share. People would always love to have more options at every different price point. So when I look at in a particular price point, there are not enough choices at a particular price point. So we may say there are more than about 10 brands or 15 brands globally working around. But when you double click a particular price point, there are very few brands working on a particular price point on an average different price segments, maybe $100, $200, $300. There are very few brands or even $500, you will see only very few brands functioning. So I believe that users would need more choices, and there's always a scope for a new brand to play functioning.
Right, right. Since you talked about the demand tapering down, is it also because there is lesser innovation happening in the market? Not many differentiated products are hitting the market. Is it the reason?
Probably yes, that is one of the reasons. But as I said in the beginning, there's also one of the reasons that the replacement cycles have increased because of the quality of the products have been much higher and superior. Not only from the Realme, because Realme's return rates are less than 0.5%, but I think the entire industry qualities have been improved. And I think that significant is one of the reasons, apart from what you have just said, is one of the reasons where the people's upgrading cycles have changed. So to answer these questions, we have completely changed our new product strategy, which is the biggest differentiator from our previous generations, and people will have a reasons to buy up and upgrade it during
Sure.
demand.
Right, right. So for your non-smartphone business, which are the categories that are doing exceedingly well for Realme, and which are the categories which you want to do better, but right now they are not doing well? If you could tell us about that.
See, we are focusing on 5 prominent categories apart from smartphones, which is laptops, tablets, TVs, audios, and wearables. These are the 5 categories what we are doing it. In this about TVs we are doing fantastically well. Audios we are doing fantastically well. Wearables we have a huge scope where we can grow further because we have a product portfolio gap, and we have identified that. And I think probably before Diwali we'll be launching 1 or 2 more products to ensure that basically we are filling up that product portfolio. In terms of laptop, also we were testing waters. Now we are ready with it. I think probably we'll see new generation of products coming very soon. So I think yes, I think these are the scope of corrections for me in these 2 segments. At the same point of time, other 3 segments we are doing fantastically well. With our pad, we are doing great. With our new 5G pad, I think we have got a fantastic response.
Sure, sure. Which are the segments you are exploring where Realme could enter the market? Home appliances is one, but within home appliances or beyond home appliances, are there new categories where you think there is a potential for Realme to foray?
Realme have a program where we are trying to, tie up with entrepreneurs who really want to associate with us and use our supply chain, our infrastructure to build up that particular thing. But we at Realme will be focused on one category, which is smartphones, and the five core category which I've just mentioned. Apart from that, other categories will be open for exploring the opportunities either directly through Realme itself or either through the partnerships. But we are more than open to hear that particular proposals out and give a lot of new entrepreneurs an opportunity to come and work with Realme as
Hmm.
an entrepreneurship and use the Realme platform to explore and grow together.
So have you started this product just now, or is it like ongoing since quite some
We have,
time?
we have already launched one of the audio brands like Dizo with Realme Tech Life, which is a Realme Tech Life thing.
Hmm.
I think we are exploring a few more things as well, where we are seeing that how can we explore further opportunity with Realme Tech Life. We also have a washing machines. We also have refrigerators. But all that we have tied up with the different ecosystem partners to make sure that basically how can we function and they can play on our supply chain management and we can grow together. Or how the social and the how can we help the society because we only want to focus on the core categories. At the
Right.
same point of time, we want to leverage our brand and our supply chain management to make sure that basically we are able to explore newer opportunities and give the opportunities to the newer people around in the industry.
Right, right. So all the players that you are in touch with, they are like local players, not the global ones. That
Few local, few global, yes. We are working with everyone because we want to make sure that people in India get the best of the quality and the latest of the infrastructure as well as the latest of the innovations in the market.
Sure, sure. And what is the update on manufacturing? You have been making smart TVs and smartphones in India, and you started wearable manufacturing as well, partnering with KHY. Uh, Now you mentioned a lot of other products, be it laptop, be it tablet, and then consumer durables. What is your manufacturing strategy? Are you tying up with more players? And if yes, then which are the ones? And what is the timeline for the new products?
Like smartphones, we well are aware of it that it is 100% manufactured and assembled in India. At the same point of time, we are trying to bring the smartphone ecosystems also the component ecosystem into India. Secondly, along with our five other ecosystem products which are into AIoT, like audios, wearables, we already started manufacturing in India. TVs, we are 100% manufacturing in India. Laptops and tablets, I think soon we have a plans to start manufacturing in India. We have already identified and we already signed up few of the contracts. Probably we'll start manufacturing in India. So we'll soon see by 2023, probably the manufacturing of these two product categories also will be started doing in India. Apart from this, I think like laptop, like refrigerators, and all these things are being currently manufactured in India only.
Sure. And you also started exporting smartphones from India. Are there other categories that you think you could start exporting from India to other markets, nearby markets, neighboring countries?
Looking at the logistics challenges, because supply chain of heavy components and heavy products, whether which are higher volumes, where we have to look at the feasibility, and we are working on it. But probably we have started doing with the smartphones for sure.
Right, right. So Realme is still considered as a younger brand in the market. Are there things which you wanted to take place in a certain manner? Are you happy with the strategy you decided or you fixed when you launched the brand? Or do you think that there are things you wanted to take place in a certain manner, but they did not? Are you happy with the growth of the brand, like trajectory of the brand? Are you
Uh,
satisfied with this?
Today is our fourth anniversary, and probably today we finished our fourth year of Realme launching in India. And this was the first place where we started globally. So, probably, yes, to answer your question, we are extremely happy, very happy with the growth trajectory. Definitely, I would have done a lot of things better if I look at the things behind. But probably, I think that the decision was right when I took it at that point of time. But I always believe in one thing, which is AFS, which is agility, feasibility, and scalability. So the flexibility, sorry, not feasibility, flexibility, agility, flexibility, and scalability. AFS is extremely important. Realme has seen a lot of different turmoils in just last 4 years. It may be a COVID complete shutdowns where the brand launched, being a completely online brand, moving to the COVID, moving to a different set of zones, and having a global economic challenges. I think we have seen all of them in last 4 years, but probably we have sailed all of them through it, and we are still stronger. Q2, we were much stronger. We were the only brand who have grown, and we were number two in India. Probably we numbers, as I always say, is just an output of all our efforts, what we have done, and mainly is about the product. We'll continue bringing up one of the best product portfolios in India, making sure that basically consumers have a complete peace of mind.
Right, right. So with your ever changing or ever evolving IoT strategy with consumer appliances and other IoT products, have you also changed your channel strategy, like focusing more on offline where a lot of products can be available, will be made available to consumers so that they can have a look and feel before they make the decision of buying?
So we have 300 stores in place for Realme where consumers can go and experience the products before they actually buy a touch and feel. Because touch and feel is globally one of the most important thing before people would love to explore any new product. So we are trying to do that. But in terms of technology, I've seen the consumers are well aware and they would still prefer to buy from their preferred channel, maybe online or offline. But technology, I've seen that consumers are extremely volatile in terms of not only in terms of touch and feel, but they are happy to explore a new brand even in online as well.
And what are your views on this government's move to bring a common charger for all the electronic devices, be it smartphone, tablet, laptop? Do you think that it is going to help consumer, or from a supply chain perspective, it will be a tougher thing for a brand like Realme, which has multiple products? What do you
For a
think?
brand like Realme, it won't be a difficult challenge because we are already working on Type C on our 90% of more than 90% of our products. So it's not a challenge. But if I look at the overall industry, it might be a challenge because a lot of feature phones are still on the pin charging. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure how the things are going to shape. I'm not well connected to that particular thing. But probably with Realme, we are ready.
Hmm.
And we know that how we can move towards that direction if the things comes rolling up. But over a period of time, overall industry in India will take some time to move to that direction. That's what I think.
Right, right. Any last comment, Madhav, on the industry, on how you see the market shaping up? Anything which I may have missed while asking, and you think is important enough to mention?
I think you have always been speak and span, Danish. You have always asked me everything, whatever you want to do. You have pulled out the most out of it, right? I don't think so. There's any challenge in that, right?
Well, on that note, Madhav, let's conclude this chat. Always a pleasure to talk to you and get your perspective on the industry. And thank you very much, and congratulations on completing 4 years in India.
Thank
And
you very much.
hope that you continue to see the growth in the market. Thank you very much, Madhav, for doing this. Thank you.
Pleasure, all, man. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you.